You know things are bad when the liberal media starts turning on a Democrat. Biden's already beleaguered White House getting smacked with 3 huge scathing pieces this week, showcasing the dysfunction and how his administration is struggling with getting messaging out in front of the big issues. Case in point, raging inflation. Joe Biden's boasting about today's job report, the U.S. economy adding 390,000 jobs for the month of May, with an unemployment rate at 3.6%. But all of those gains snuffed out by the highest inflation in 4 decades and record high gas prices. That's not stopping Biden from trying to spin the news.
With today's excellent jobs report and unemployment remaining at near historic lows of 3.6%, because of the enormous progress we've made on the economy, the Americans can tackle inflation from a position of strength. The 2 challenges on the minds of most working families are prices at the pump and prices at the grocery store. Both of these challenges have been directly exacerbated by Putin's war in Ukraine.
So there's your victory lap. Kellyanne, do you think that's a risky victory lap? You could stumble to finish line as soon as, I don't know, as many are predicting, a recession could be right around the corner.
It's a failing strategy. For some reason, the only person not paying attention to all of these polls is Joe Biden and his White House. I've never seen such a clear-cut case for how to respond to what the American people say is most important to them. And that's the key about Americans. You don't tell them what's important to them, they tell you. And they're telling us inflation, immigration. In Joe Biden's America, mothers can't find infant formula. Nobody blames Vladimir Putin for that. And he loses America when he doesn't just stand up and say, look, it's been a little bit rough, but we have a plan. We're going to get out of this. Look at all the polls. It's not just that people feel uncertain about their current economic situation. Well, it's that when they project forward, the pessimism is there. They think it will only get worse. And if Republicans keep recruiting candidates that are talking about how to fix the economy, how to get back to energy independence, how to put conservative judges that don't think the Constitution is a paper towel on the bench, they'll do very well this fall. But Joe Biden and Kamala Harris do less every weekend than almost everyone I know. There's never anything on her public schedule. We see where he is. I mean, he literally had a 17-minute gun rager last night in prime time and left. Didn't go to Congress and say, hey, now I want to get everybody together and show people working in the cabinet room. Kamala Harris is nowhere. They're embarrassed to put her out there. And I think that the media has had enough of them because the media covered for them. They worked overtime to help them get where they are, and they're not getting enough transparency in return.
On that note, so Judge, it can't be overlooked. In addition to this, these stories about Joe being upset about the walkbacks, or even some stories about black staffers being upset within the White House, there's also the Washington Post for the first time acknowledging the Hunter Biden laptop story. What's going on?
Well, I think the Washington Post understands that they survive based upon the number of newspapers that they sell, that their customer is the person who buys the newspaper and not the White House. And, you know, with Joe Biden complaining so much about and trying to tell us what a great jobs report, look, American people, as Kellyanne said, you know, we tell them how we feel. But American people understand that they can't go to the supermarket anymore without looking at a piece of meat, putting it down, and then maybe picking it up again. It's crazy. I mean, I even look at meat and say, is that right? But what Joe Biden ought to do, instead of complaining about his staff, he ought to take 15 minutes and say, sit down with the American people and say, you know what? This is what I want to say to you. This is how I want to do it. I feel your pain. I got into office because I felt your pain about COVID. I empathized with you. If he's so upset about the people around him, do something about it. Joe, you're the boss. Do something. So I think his saying that he's annoyed with people around him, he's annoyed that he didn't know about the baby formula early. Right. Well, you know what? Pull in your press secretary and tell her you better either be on the same page with me or don't be on the same page.
But Harold, why is the media not covering for Joe Biden now?
Well, I don't think they've ever covered for him.
I'm sorry, I won't let Greg talk. I changed my mind. I'm kidding. The floor is yours.
Never covered for him. Oh, my goodness.
So, you know, Ron Klain has complained about CNN and others. He thinks not treating them fairly. Look, these resets happen in White House. This happened in Trump's White House. This happened in Obama's White House. It happened in George W. and Clinton's and H.W.'s White House. And you have to have the dexterity to be able to push a reset and to be able to figure out if you're not getting the right advice about baby formula, then you fire the people that are giving you bad advice, or you put people in charge that can help run these things. I would remind everybody on the baby formula piece, it was a safety and health issue that got them to shut some of that stuff down. Now, he should have known those things earlier. Look, on oil and gas, I applaud them for wanting to meet with the Saudis and the Venezuelans. I don't think that's a long-term strategy, but certainly in the intermediate, as we ramp up production here in America and find ways to eventually graduate to a different kind of platform, energy platform, you got to give him credit there. Where I think he has to understand is that the border and crime are issues that are going to resonate with voters, and they have to get a better strategy around that. The strategy is not as clear to me around those two issues as it is inflation and oil and gas.
Greg?
I like it when Joe Biden attacks inflation by defining it for us. Right. What we're seeing is an increase in prices. You keep hearing about a messaging problem, but they have to admit the problem is the message. It's not the execution, it's the substance itself. You asked this question a couple of times, like, why is the media changing? Why is the media attacking him? I don't think the media is turning on him per se. I think they realize that he has served his purpose. He got elected as an old, white, safe, moderate Trojan horse designed to hide the coming reckoning of the wokeists that were inside that Trojan horse. So now they don't need the feeble old coot and can gently push him out into the pasture. That's why they're talking about Hunter Biden all the time, a story that they buried, and now they're so brave covering all of the sordid details that I've been all over since day one. But you know why you're going to know that the media is not isn't suddenly in our camp or on our side? When they all decide that January 6th hearing is going to be in prime time. You don't think that's a political strategy in which the Democrats and the media collude together? Sound familiar, right? They're doing it in prime time for a reason. They're doing it because they've got nothing else. But they're going to be in for their own. They're going to be in for a lousy surprise when no one watches it.
Well, I feel bad that I've interrupted Harold several times. We're only 2 segments into the show. So, Harold, would you like to read my tease?
Harold, looking back, do you think they should have covered for Hunter Biden? Do you think the laptop being called Russian disinformation was fair?
Who was
the
they?
Media. The Twitter taking New York Post off. I mean, in curiosity, 51 national security guys saying this is Russian disinformation.
Kellyanne, I think you're directing this at the wrong person. I think that all this stuff should be transparent,
You
whether
said
it be
they weren't
Trump, whether it
covering
be
for him. They
we're
were.
talking about President Biden.
I think Greg has the answer to that, is that he served his
Hunter
purpose.
Biden.
So, no regrets, he served his purpose.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.